Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of History with Hookstead. I am David Hookstead, the host of American Joyride, and on this channel on the podcast, we talk a lot about the military stories and history. And before we get started today on what will be one of the most important episodes I've ever done, I need everyone to please like and subscribe. That is, like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. That helps us get these stories out to more people. So please, you have no idea how much it helps. Like and subscribe. Today we're talking about a subject that is rather incredibly serious. And I know usually we talk about a lot about history, we talk about a lot of fun stuff. Today we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to dive into a story that the media has gotten wrong. Are you shocked the media got something wrong? I'm definitely not. And I want to be clear, whenever we talk about someone who's paid the ultimate price, whenever we talk about an American soldier, a Delta Force operator who gave their last full measure, their last act of life, the last moment on this earth in defense of this nation, it is important to take it incredibly serious. Yes, these are guys who laugh. These are guys who drank beer in their free time. These are guys who had crazy life stories. But today we're talking about a guy who made the ultimate sacrifice, and that is Jonathan Dunbar. Jonathan Dunbar, the reason we are talking about him today is because there's a lot of misinformation about how he died. It's been wrongly reported. I believe the government at times has even messed it up. And guys who become Delta Force operators have gone through so much, and they've dedicated so much time, energy, passion, mental health space, physical health for this country, that it's important people know the truth when one of these brave warriors passes away. So I'm going to do a little reading here real quickly just to get the background of who Jonathan Dunbar, a Delta Force operator killed in action, was. This is the release from the military following his death in 2018, which at the time caused all these headlines because an SAS operator by the name of Matt Tonro, I apologize if I'm a little off in that pronunciation, I don't know if it'd be pronounced differently in England, was also killed in the operation that Dunbar died in. And that's where a lot of this confusion, the false reporting, the misinformation comes out. So this is directly from the military following the death of Delta Force operator Jonathan Dunbar. Master Sergeant Jonathan Dunbar, assigned to Headquarters U.S. Army Special Operations Command, died March 30th, 2018 from wounds received during combat operations near Manbij, Syria. He was deployed in support of Operation Inherent Resolve. Dunbar, 36 of Austin, Texas, enlisted in the U.S. Army as an infantryman in May 2005. He completed his initial entry training at Fort Benning, Georgia. We're going to get into just a shade of his background here because I think it's very important to understand where these guys come from, what they're about. The background information really helps build out a profile of who Jonathan Dunbar was as a man, as a soldier before he was killed in action. Dunbar's first assignment was with C Company, 1st Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he served as a machine gunner, fire team leader, and squad leader. During his time with the 365th, he deployed once to Afghanistan and once to Iraq in support of combat operations. In November of 2009, he transitioned to C Company, 2nd Battalion, 38th Cavalry Regiment, Long-Range Surveillance, Fort Hood, Texas, where he served for 4 years as a squad leader. During his time at Fort Hood, he deployed to Iraq in support of combat operations. In 2013, Dunbar was assigned to Headquarters U.S. Special Operations Command, where he served as a team member and deployed 3 times in support of combat operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. So what's interesting about Jonathan Dunbar is he didn't come from the Rangers or Special Forces or Marine Recon or anything like that. His last assignment was the 38th Cavalry Regiment down at Fort Hood before he went to selection for Delta Force and passed that selection, did OTC, got through that, became a Delta Force operator, a very not normal path, if you will. A lot of guys come from the Rangers. A lot of guys come from Special Forces. Dunbar came from the 38th Cavalry Regiment. Really tells you the kind of grit, the kind of gravel this guy had in his stomach to go from a conventional unit like that into the best Tier 1 unit in the history of the world, the best direct action history in the world. So why is Jonathan Dunbar's death, I don't want to use the word controversial. I don't want to paint it like that. Why was the reporting around it so wrong? If you remember, when Dunbar was killed in 2018, it was reported as a friendly fire incident. You had all these news headlines that were military sources talking about how this was a friendly fire incident involving a breaching charge. Now, if you hear that there's a situation involving friendly fire and a breaching charge, what are you going to assume? You're going to assume they were messing with a breaching charge, trying to use a breaching charge, and that it detonated incorrectly at the wrong time, and that is the reason the people were killed, Matt Tonro and Jonathan Dunbar. That is the common sense thing. There was even reporting that, or there was speculation that it was in an attempt, an early detonation on a door. This is why we're doing this video. That is not correct. That is 100% false. Jonathan Dunbar did not die because they were putting a breaching charge on a door and it detonated too early. He did not die because they were putting a breaching charge elsewhere and it detonated too early. Jonathan Dunbar, in a Delta Force SAS mission in Syria against ISIS during Operation Inherent Resolve, died because he got blown up by an IED that I believe was a makeshift or used a claymore mine. Now, there's two reports on this that are really important. One of the reports comes from, I believe, We Are the Mighty or SOFREP. Don't quote me on that. And it talks about how the claymore or the IED detonated and caused a secondary explosion that set off a breaching charge that Dunbar had on his body that then also killed Matt Tonro. This account is confirmed by Brent Tucker, a retired Delta Force operator. I don't know if they were on the same squadron. I don't know if he was there when that happened. Obviously, he was in Delta Force when it occurred. He has direct knowledge. He went on the Team House podcast and said exactly that Dunbar was killed by a claymore mine that had been rigged up somehow into an ID. I don't know the exact specifics of that. That explosion set off the breaching charges they had, which then in turn killed the SAS operator. So when you heard all these reports of friendly fire, mistake, whatever it might be, in theory, if you really get down to brass tacks, the breaching charge explosion, which was the secondary explosion, in theory, you could argue that was friendly fire because he was holding it on his person when it blew up, when he was killed by an enemy explosive. I cannot stress this enough. Dunbar was killed by an enemy explosive. It was nothing he did. It was not the explosives he carried on him, not even close at all. He was killed by an enemy ID. The media got this wrong. The media reported, as did people on social media, Reddit. There were claims coming out of the government that it was a friendly fire incident, implying that they were both killed by friendly fire. This has been debunked by one major report. It has been debunked by Brent Tucker, who again is a Delta Force operator. You've seen him on the show. Awesome guy. He was killed by an enemy ID, which then set off a secondary explosion, which then is what caused the death of SAS operator Matt Tonro. This is 100% on ISIS. This was not a screw up they made. This is not a mistake that Jonathan Dunbar or Matt Tonro made, not even a little bit. They were killed in action against the enemy. The fact they call this a friendly fire incident and the fact that it was reported on the way it was reported nearly 6 years ago is quite frankly nothing short of embarrassing and disgusting for everyone who was involved in getting the information wrong, because the perception is that they must have made a mistake that ultimately cost two Tier 1 operators, Dunbar and Tonro, their lives. When in reality, Dunbar was hit by an enemy explosive that caused a secondary explosion that killed Matt Tonro. Okay, they weren't breaching a door, nothing like that happened. All the conspiracies or all the nonsense you see on Reddit implying things are completely false. This story, the truth has been out there for a little bit. Like I said, Brent Tucker talked about it on the Team House. The other article's been out for at least a year, but it feels like the truth has not been out there enough, if that makes sense. So I wanted to come here and I wanted to tell everyone, Jonathan J. Dunbar, Master Sergeant Jonathan J. Dunbar, was an American hero. The dude went from the cavalry to the unit. That is incredible. That is nothing short of absolutely incredible. And he died defending this nation, fighting against the most savage animals on the planet. So it's important that when one of these men give their lives for America, we get the facts right, that we tell the truth, that the memory and legacy of these men is kept alive correctly. And instead, what you saw a lot with Jonathan Dunbar was a lot of misinformation, a lot of false reporting, a lot of things basic facts that were not correct, that we're getting wrong. And I want to come on here and I want to tell you the truth of how Jonathan Dunbar gave his life and how Matt Tonroe, an SAS operator. The SAS works very closely with America. They are the next best Tier 1 element. I know people will debate SEAL Team 6, but Delta and SAS, they're hooked like this. They're brothers in arms. Delta guys have talked about it. SAS guys have talked about it. And an SAS and a Delta guy died on the exact same mission, which is virtually unheard of. In fact, I don't know if that had ever happened before March 30th, 2018. Real quick, I do want to read a couple of his awards, a couple of his achievements. He had the 3 Bronze Stars, the Army Commendation Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, where 2 of his Bronze Stars were, the Iraq Campaign Medal. So maybe it's a little confusing on his Bronze Stars. We had 2 more Bronze Stars, the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Ribbon. And he's got everything you could ever want pinned on your chest. And the dude was just an absolute hardcore operator, a great American. And I want the truth, the story of Jonathan J. Dunbar to be out there. I don't want people to research his name and see all this friendly fire stuff. The fact they botched the reporting on this, there is no excuse for it. That is how Jonathan J. Dunbar died. That's been confirmed by an actual member of the unit at the time it happened. It's been confirmed by another report. The friendly fire thing, that needs to end. My thoughts and prayers are with the Dunbar and Tonroe family. It is a tragedy whenever we lose a Delta operator. It's a tragedy whenever we lose anyone. It's certainly a tragedy when we lose such, these are men among boys, if you will, in terms of their capabilities, and that's why we take time to shine a light on them here on this channel, and I do. Anyways, that is it. If you've made it this far in the video, that means you enjoyed what you heard. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time.